First of all, let me express my sincerest thanks to the collective leadership of the Philippine Movement for Transformational Leadership for including me in the shortlist for senators. Already, I consider it a great honor and recognition to be shortlisted. I shall manifest my position on the following issues. Number one is on political dynasty. The letter and spirit of the law, especially the Constitution, is very clear in prohibiting political dynasty. Section 26 of Article 2 of the Philippine Constitution clearly states, and it does not require any other interpretation, that the ban or prohibition of political dynasty is the collective will and desire of our Filipino people. And I believe that I will prioritize that if elected as a member of the Philippine Senate. If you will recall, when I was still an incumbent congressman representing the 2nd District of Quezon City, supposed to be the largest congressional district with 600,000 voters, I already led public rallies against political dynasty. And I haven't changed my position since then. That I always consider that whenever we take the oath of office, including and expressing our manifest commitment and adherence to the Philippine Constitution, that includes Section 26 of Article 2. So if I get elected, I will see to it that I will use all my experience, my 9-year experience as a lawmaker, to marshal efforts to finally come out with a law prohibiting political dynasty. The second issue I would like to touch on is the issue of agricultural development and agrarian reform. We all know that the Philippines is essentially an agricultural country, and yet we are hardly self-sufficient in food production. Our agricultural sector is hardly developed. We have vast tracts of land, and we have many coastal areas, and yet we are insufficient. I think it's about time for the government and for Congress, particularly the Senate, to come out with a law that will provide all-out support, amend the infrastructure, including the movement of agricultural products to the city, and other reforms. Let's face it, we can be a power in this part of the world if we are agriculturally sufficient and successful. The third issue I would like to call on is the issue of the OFW. We all know that there are about 12 million OFWs right now, and they have been contributing a lot to our economy. Remember the 1977 financial crisis? Which sector really helped the country, our economy? Of course, there are the local bankers, the local industrialists, the local traders, but it is largely because of the remittances of our OFWs, which provided help for a strong Philippine peso amidst this financial crisis in Asia. They say, and I so believe, that it is through these remittances that kept the Philippine boat afloat. And right now, we are continuously benefiting from the contribution of the OFW. Sadly though, we keep calling them bagong bayani. But our words do not match with our deeds. So maybe it's about time to really, for Congress, for the Philippine Senate, to come out with a law. And I have one particular law I have in mind. You remember I was in the House of Representatives. I filed a bill calling for the creation of a special bank for OFWs. A bank that will be owned by OFWs. A bank ultimately, though initially run by professional bankers, will ultimately run and managed by OFWs themselves and their children. And I'm sure you will agree with me. If we have that OFW bank, that will provide clout to the OFWs. Not only financial clout, economic clout. And as we all know, with economic power, they will have political power. So hindi po natin babaliwalain ang ating mga OFWs. And I believe, through this proposed law, through this bank for overseas Filipino workers and overseas Filipinos, I'm sure we will match our words with our deeds. Now, on the issue of abortion, as a Christian, as a practical Christian, I believe that it is non-negotiable for me and for good practicing Christians, because abortion is in violation of the fifth commandment, which is killing an innocent human being, particularly the ejection of a non-viable fetus from the mother's womb. This is very immoral and should be strictly prohibited. It should never be compromised. Remember, abortion is not only a crime before the eyes of men, it is also a crime against God. So as Christian leaders, we must see to it that we create the environment for abortion to be contained, and if we can obliterate this scourge called abortion. I remember when I was in Congress, together with my wife, we led the team in a seminar, Christian leadership seminar for congressmen and their respective spouses. We were able to graduate about 28 congressmen and their spouses, and they were able to renew their commitment to Christian principles and practices. I believe, given the opportunity to be in the Senate, I will do the same. I will invite and convince my colleagues there to renew their commitment as Christian leaders. On the issue of euthanasia, I fully subscribe that direct killing is always wrong and applies equally to mercy killing or euthanasia, that is doing away with severely handicapped and terminally ill persons. We must always accept that only God has absolute power over life and death. And as good stewards of the gift of life granted us by God, we Christians must take ordinary means to preserve life, dutifully submit ourselves to our divine Creator as to when and how we shall make the final journey to His heavenly kingdom. On the issue of capital punishment or death penalty, I fully acknowledge the three traditional reasons for punishing criminals. One is retribution, the second is reform, and the third is deterrence. Though I acknowledge this, I believe that the time has come for the state and the government to reimpose death penalty in the case of the commission of very serious crimes, economic plunders, and crimes against the state. You and I know that right in our national beloved prison, there are drug lords there who have been incarcerated, and yet it has been found out. They continue to manufacture shabu and even market the same illegal drugs. And imagine what it has done to our young people's lives, to families affected, and to the country as well. So I am of the firm belief the hour has come to reimpose capital punishment as a protection not only to the individuals, not only to the family, but to the whole community and Philippine society. So that is my position in these three issues like abortion, euthanasia, and capital punishment. Maraming salamat po sa magandang pagkakataon na binigay niyo po sa akin. Pagpalain po tayo ng poong may kapal.